Living, I have faith. I'm not gonna prove it right, yeah. Oh, yeah.
WEFM, the new fresh sound.
Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
Welcome back, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The time is 9:20, and it's about that time where we have our open forum for the day, our Talk to Me, if you may, where we allow you to call and we talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about this morning. The number to call is 457-9997. Also, the number to WhatsApp is 457-9997. We're live on YouTube and Facebook at WFM99SVG. Now, in the spirit of it being Thursday, it's Throwback Thursday, and we want to talk about what are some of the things that have you a bit nostalgic on this Thursday. What are some things that used to happen that don't happen anymore that you often think about? You're like, this was a really, really, really good time. She really is looking into space. She trying to figure out what is it that has happened.
Well, we have somebody here. Let's see if they're going to give us some info. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. And how are you today?
All is nice speaking to you.
All right.
Something I want to talk about, and it's how LGBTQ plus whatever that means. I never thought that they would come when Dave Roberts would have to be hotting up my head with this, or people had to be hotting up my head with that, and so on. Straight off, Roleza, do you believe in LGBTQ plus, whatever that means?
I believe in the homosexual aspect. Well, it's homosexual and lesbians. I'm not sure if to say believe in it, but I am maybe a little bit more accepting. Where there are the variations, it's where it gets a little bit murky for me.
Well, I hope my boy there with you is straight, because in today's society, you don't know who's straight and who crooked as far as I'm concerned. But I can say up front, I could never see myself tolerating all this nonsense, all what is. Well, I said nonsense, some people will curse me for that, right? But my orientation did not introduce me to man and man, right? Or woman and woman. But I know all of this goes on. But I'm just making my position clear. And I know I'm only one person. But I am strongly in opposition to this practice or malpractice, however you look at it. So then, if we believe in the good book, bring me a verse of scripture where the Bible says that we must live this kind of life. Because we say we live in a Christian society and all that, and we must go by some guide or some supreme being. So if that's the way to go, I want somebody to convince me, Dave Roberts, you need to be a homosexual. Roleza, you need to be a lesbian.
But why do you need convincing if that's not your persuasion? And I don't think the point of it necessarily is to persuade those of us who are heterosexuals to become lesbians or become homosexuals. If you're not of that persuasion, then it shouldn't. Why is it bothering you?
It shouldn't bother me? I was brought up in an environment, a society, where I didn't know anything from young. I didn't know anything about all this transsexual, bisexual, multisexual, and all. That's all I'm trying to. And if I live in a society, I want to know who is who, so that I can know who I can talk to and feel comfortable.
But when you say talk to Dave, when you Ari, stop breathing so hard, I'd give me that facial expression. When you say talk to Dave, right? Suppose you've had a friend for years, right? For years, and you have both of you have interacted, and it's a he in this case, right? Both of you have interacted well over the years, and you find out 40 years later that he is a homosexual, right? He's never made a pass at you. He's never tried to engage you in sexual activity, etc.
Okay.
Does that change your
I get the
relationship that
message.
you have with him, or should it change your relationship that you have with him? Especially if he
No,
hasn't made an advance towards you.
All right, I hear you. I hear you.
Mm.
That is up to me as a person. But if that is the case, I would just have to be on my P's and Q's. But I would have to ask him, because the person I am, I would say to him, man, I hear you this and you that and so on. Is that true? I'll
And if he
me
says
holding back
yes,
nothing.
and if he says yes, you're going to end your
Yes,
friendship with him.
so look now, I don't tolerate that, I just don't tolerate that. Plain talk, me not a beat around the bush and so on. If I'm a homo, I say, I say I could mix with you and so on.
So your relationship,
Do you
your-
have a fear, Dave, that being his friend, who if he's a homosexual, that you yourself would turn into a homosexual?
or maybe it's a case of association as well. Is it a case of because your friend is a homosexual and you are associated with him through friendship, that you fear that you are also going to be stigmatized?
Yeah, all of that means a lot. Stigmatization and so on.
So you're coming, this
But
is
I tell
all
you
coming
something.
from a place of fear.
Yeah? Why? Why fair?
Why is it?
I did not.
Why is it
Why did
that
what?
you're saying that you need to approach him and you're saying, okay, I can't tolerate this? What is it? Why is it that you cannot tolerate it? Do you know why it
Well,
is that
it's
you
just
can't
the way
tolerate
I
it?
was brought up. I was told this is something. What you want? It's an abomination and all of that. Should I throw it out? Should I discard that and join with my join with the person and do what they believe in? No.
Were you socialized that? Were you raised to fornicate? I feel like when people are quoting the Bible, they're very selective in what they're quoting and what their values are. No, I personally, as a straight male, I don't be up at night thinking about who is gay and finding out who is gay, because it doesn't affect my everyday life. So it's always curious to me to hear.
You're a different human being. I am just expressing myself how I feel.
Yeah, but if you're up thinking about it constantly, then there's a lot of self-reflection that you need to do.
I will say this, Dave. I will say this, right? It, of course, is your choice whether or not you choose to continue to be friends with this individual. But it's the basis for ending the friendship that I am concerned about, right? Because if the person has not made any...
What you're concerned about?
The basis for
ending the friendship. Right? Because finding out somebody's...
I never spoke about ending any friendship, I'm just expressing my own personal view.
No, we understand.
But if you're saying that you don't tolerate it, what does that mean?
Or even coming out and saying, well, I hear you.
I'll tell the person I don't tolerate that kind of behavior.
Exactly. So what does that mean for your friendship?
Oh, God. Well, it must mean suppose the person doesn't agree with me and try to hug me and kiss me and all of that.
But he's never done it before in the past, then why are you suddenly afraid that he's going to having revealed it to you?
No. You're all getting me wrong, Me not afraid. I am not afraid of, It's just that I will, if I hear something, I will further investigate and all of that. Just come. I will have to find out more. My friendship and that person can remain if I can, if there's nothing to be worried about. When I say worried about, I don't want nobody coming trying to hug me or feel me like.
But if he never did it before in the past, Dave, then why are you concerned about it happening after he has revealed his position to you? If it never happened before, you don't know.
I don't think we get it anywhere because you're all not understanding me. I have no problem if you choose to live your life as a lesbian. Or what?
But you're inserting.
Robert.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
When you say you don't have a problem, but you're also in the same breath saying you won't tolerate it.
Lord, there's a mistake I made. Well, let me talk about you won't tolerate.
What do you mean? They be explicit.
I try to
so
understand what you're saying.
Infer the wrong thing, right? Be explicit.
Because you also said you hope that I am straight.
Forget about that. Just
no, it's not that because it's contradicting. He's saying he don't have a problem, but he's hoping that I am straight. It's contradicting.
Okay, well, you take it wrong. I can't remember
Okay.
my exact
Dave,
words.
okay, so Dave, let me start over.
Okay,
We
start over.
right?
What
And
is your feeling?
And I'm going to say it this way. Dave, you have had a friend for 40 years. He has disclosed to you that he is homosexual. He disclosed it yesterday, right? What are your views in relation to his stance or his sexual orientation?
Yeah.
And what is going to happen to the friendship? Be explicit. So we ain't it for it, nothing wrong.
Wait. I thought I'm okay. Let me see how simple I can answer this question.
Please.
I am saying I came up as a boy, grown into a man, and the way I was sexually oriented, I know a man was made for a woman.
Okay.
That's number one. I didn't know man was made for man.
Okay.
And woman was made for woman. Is that simple enough? How simple can I get?
That's first point. That's only the first point. That's relation to you. What is going to happen in relation to the friendship? That's the point that we're trying to get at.
Oh, the friendship. Well, okay, let me see if I can simplify that again, or simplify that as well. I have you as a friend for X amount of years, right? I don't know anything about you concerning whatever sexual desires you have. Once you don't mess with me, that's all right.
Okay.
Because I made this claim. Huh?
Continue.
Just stop messing. I said, once you don't mess with me, I'm cool. I'm all right. All I'm saying, if somebody come and tell me that, I may have to think about it. But, I am not just going to throw the friendship out of the window like that.
Okay, so
I don't know simple.
So if we're going to
myself as
so if we're going to
I love
understand
myself as a
clearly,
man.
you are not for you, your personal life, you are not of that persuasion. But if you have a friend who is of that persuasion and he discloses to you years later, you're not going to necessarily end the friendship, right? That's what you're saying?
No.
All right.
All
right.
Once you don't, the clear thing is once you don't come with no stupidness to me. I mean, I don't have to study that.
But why you have to keep bringing that up?
Somebody on the live said, on the live said you're too old for the guys nowadays, so you don't have to worry about.
Well, fine.
So you're safe.
So
You're
let the
safe.
young people
You're
get
safe.
on with their homosexuality.
But it's
You're
not
safe.
a young people thing, though, Dave.
Dave is safe. He's okay.
In biblical times, I carry with you sometimes on the area. It's been in existence since biblical times, so it's not a young people thing either.
I know it's a old thing, but Dave, our never were brought up in that way. I never intend to indulge in that sort of thing. That's all I'm saying.
But Dave, you can't come and tell me that back in the day when you were growing up that they didn't have homosexual activities and you were not aware of persons engaged in homosexual activities.
So why are you carrying me there? I didn't make any comments on that. I said, okay, you Sodom and Gomorrah. Read Sodom and Gomorrah. Tell us what that teaches. It's just for you to know I'm aware of biblical times and all of that.
Dave, I needed this laugh this morning.
I am not a part of all this mumble jumble and so on. People can't find their sexuality. People ain't know where it be. That's what comes over to me.
Listen. People are 100% entitled to their opinion. The same way you're entitled to your opinion, you don't believe in it, you don't have a friend. You have a friend that's that way and you don't believe in it, then that is totally fine. That's your personal belief. The same way I feel like if the people are gay or lesbian or whatever it is that they are, if they identify as a rock, a building, whatever they identify as long as it doesn't harm anyone and they just live in their life the way they see fit without it having any adverse effect on anyone specifically, and definitely no grooming, and you don't try to enforce it or socialize the younger people into believing that is what they need to be, then
50 years ago it was like this in Silver Johnny Grenades.
It wasn't like what?
About all kind of buggery laws and all them.
But they were always on the books.
Yeah, it wasn't like
it's
what?
It's now being challenged because internationally
not challenged alone. I think it's because you have become so what's the word I'm looking for? We have become so bold and basic with what we want to do. Look, I saw two young ladies kissing one another high daytime in Kingston.
Dave,
I don't know if
oh
I
my
was the only
God.
one who saw them.
Why didn't you stone
I
them?
saw the young lady kissing right underneath Whitey Lever.
Dave, you should have done something. You should have
But
called the
Dave,
police.
but you know, Dave, to be honest, I was having a discussion, I think, recently with Karen. Who was I having the conversation with? Anyway, whoever it is I was having the conversation with. The thing of it is that, okay, so yes, in our society, public displays of affection will cause a little bit of persons to look, right? It would even happen in a heterosexual couple. We hardly have persons in Vinci. We hardly see it within our society of persons kissing each other or explain excessive displays of affection. So yes, I could understand you making that comment about seeing two women doing such, but the same alarm might have been raised or the same look might have been given for a heterosexual couple doing the same thing. We don't do PDAs in SVG.
That's how some people react. Yeah, I know what you would say, you know. Heterosexual is accepted as normal, isn't that?
Dave,
Anyhow, I'm too young now to deal with that. Eh?
Nah,
That's
you keep up with us this morning.
Dave, I really do believe that if you want to be in not productive, developing society, if you want to add to a developing society, you have to learn some level of tolerance. Remember one point?
Learn some level of what?
Tolerance. Remember one point. The way you feel now is how white people felt towards us. Oh, you have a black friend? I could never have a black friend.
Not just a date one.
Well, I
Not
don't
just
think
a date
that
one.
Because black is black, white is white. I used to think as you bring up that. I look at white people for teaching us a lot of what is this, that they want to accept us or not.
Well,
Huh?
Well, remember one of the things that they taught us was Christianity, and the first thing you did coming in here was quoting the Bible.
Yeah. How did we become civilized? How was St. Vincent and the Grenadines being administered? How many years we under British colonialism, domination, and all of that? Come on, man. There's a lot to be on.
I feel like on Fridays you should come down to the studio and we have some discussions because this is very fruitful. I get a good laugh. And it's an interesting perspective you have.
And you know what I would be honest with, Dave, is that it's not a matter of pulling down your opinions and etc. As Ari correctly said, everybody is entitled to their own opinion. This is going to forever be an ongoing debate within St. Vincent and the Grenadines or within the Caribbean in particular, right? But what it is that I would say as well is you are not the only person who thinks the way that you do, right? So this is why maybe for us as younger persons, we might be a bit more tolerant, right? Of quote unquote accepting or maybe being indifferent. I think for me, I'm more indifferent as opposed to accepting.
I am indifferent.
Right? But the thing of it is that we tend to find the older generation, right? They are headstrong in their beliefs and not as accommodating to understand from a different point of view. And I think that's what is the problem.
And it's not just this. There's a lot of different issues.
But that's an everlasting problem. As you said, we will continue. There's always continue to those of us who believe we're right and those who believe we're wrong, or those who choose whatever path they choose to uphold and to feel happy and proud about. So, that's the reason why some of us kill ourselves, why we commit suicide. It embodies a lot of things, Your mind is what your mind can deal with. And when some people's minds can deal with certain things, they commit suicide. Just think about that.
I'm glad you brought up that. All right.
Thanks, Dave.
I'm glad Dave brought up your mind, because your mind play a huge part in these things, A lot of persons are easily influenced and a lot of persons are not. I could tell you, when I was in uni, I had a friend, a Latino homosexual friend, and my friends used to ask me, "Oh, you hanging out with this guy? Suppose this guy did this, suppose this guy did that, suppose I had no nose." And it never happened.
And that's the thing. I think for me, because of the society on mainland, I was never exposed to, let's say, open homosexual embraces, right? But when I worked in Canawan, there were openly homosexual persons working down there. And the thing of it is, yes, initially seeing that embrace or whatever happened, it took me by shock. But the thing of it is that being down there, I didn't view them any differently. It really did not matter
Listen.
to me, you know?
Taiwan is the first place I saw a transsexual in real life. And I was shocked. I thought it was a woman, and you turn and I saw the Adams office. What is that? But it didn't affect my everyday life. It didn't
Right.
change anything in my life.
You took on whatever problems you had as opposed to somebody else's problems.
That didn't affect me in any way, shape, or form.
But there's something that Dave brought up in terms of mind and suicide, right? And society. And I think one of the reasons to why a lot of persons or those who might consider committing suicide is because they have not been able to be open about who they are, right? We see it all the time, even in just having an opinion that's different from somebody else's, you get shot down, as opposed to somebody trying to understand where you're coming from. We don't have to agree, but at least try to understand where you're coming from, much less to something as big as your sexuality, right? Persons don't feel as if I can tell Ari, I've known Ari for years, I can't tell Ari that I am this way because I don't know how Ari is going to view me. I don't know if Ari is going to tell other persons and all of them are going to gang up against me. And then I'm feeling like I'm ostracized within society. So even in these little things, right? Now, I'm not saying that in the case of homosexual activity that you necessarily have to accept it. But what I can say is that do not bring, let's say, harm to such an individual. You don't necessarily need to exclude them from certain things that you're having, like a social, like a get together, like a high school reunion, etc. I don't see any reason for that happening, especially if it's a case where an advance has not been made towards you. In a case where, let's say, they're not grooming little children, I don't see the reason for it.
I mean, I personally believe that if you're having a social gathering or whatever it is that you're doing, it's really up to you who you want in your space at the time. What I do believe is that unless it is that this person personally has done something to you, I do not see the need for the hostility towards, even to violence. Like Badu said, he was spat on all these things. I don't know what would possess somebody to spit on somebody because they're living or they did something that you don't agree with. You realize that is the basis for a lot of the atrocities in the world, for the basis for racism, where Hitler believed that they are superior white and they're pure-blooded white and he needs to erase the others and anybody who falls on the other. You know, that's the basis for a lot of racism, even in the Caribbean, where in Dominican Republic, they were killing Haitians in Dominican Republic based on how good their Spanish was. They were going to homes and test and see what the R's are, what the R sound is.
The purge? All right, sorry.
Yeah, these things do happen, and persons tend to overlook them, but they do happen, and it's because of not being able to be tolerant or indifferent in certain cases. There's certain places that you draw the line. I personally agree with what the ruling was in the case, but that doesn't mean that I hate anybody who feel different, and I have my own reservations about the LGBTQ plus community and certain things here? I don't not here internationally.
Okay.
And there's certain things that I don't believe in, and there's certain things that I think personally is a mental illness. But that is my personal belief, and I'm not going to attack anybody physically or verbally unprovoked.
I agree. I do think that it's a very slippery slope, and this is why I said I ended my views at lesbian homosexual relations, right? I just ended there because all the other things that are attached to it is a little bit too much for me to try to understand or to try to take in. And I do think that the introduction of certain things is presented a very slippery slope, as we have seen in international countries. And I'm not sure if our society is totally ready for that overall conversation of everything else that it involves, right? Yeah, so I am just leaving it at homosexuals and lesbians. I'm just leaving it there.
That was an interesting throwback Thursday, boy. Really threw all the way back to primitive thinking.
But you see, so I try not to use words that say as primitive thinking, right? Because the thing of it is that once you've been socialized in a particular way, it's kind of difficult for some persons to shake it, no matter.
But that's true.
Even as people as young as ourselves, if you grew up in a Christian society, a Christian home where certain things are pounded into your head and this and that and da 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 da, it's hard to shake it.
What would you do if you meet a nice white gentleman and you guys are getting serious in your relationship and you bring him home to meet your grandmother and your grandmother said, nope, no white people in my family?
Listen to me. Then we have this discussion yesterday where I said their opinions will not matter. If I love this man, I love this man. Happily ever after.
And then you're walking in the streets and then you're hearing on WEFM talk to me. Do you believe that I saw a white woman and a white man and a black woman walking in the street and they kissed?
And this is the thing, because remember back in the day, unless you had persons taking a stand that is different, but he really cracking up yourself here. Unless back in the day somebody took a stand to say we're not going to go down what the accepted role is. We will not have things such as interracial marriages.
Exactly. We would not have suffrage, female suffrage.
Adult suffrage, right? Female.
We won't have that. Unless somebody decide, it is
women
wrong.
working.
Exactly. It says somebody decide it is wrong that women are not allowed to vote. That is absolute
and
nonsense.
Women supposed to only bathe children and cook and clean.
You could imagine that you're here in our public platform, and I went to vote today. I saw a woman.
You're right. The outrage.
She was voting.
And they always thought that we were of lesser intelligence. So this is why we could not, work, and this is why we couldn't contribute to politics, etc. We were lesser beings.
There are two sexes, right? Male and female, and then you're saying they, and I'm the only male in it. We're trying to say.
I ain't saying one thing. I have a feeling that I know you enough. Do I know you enough, Ari? Ari, do I know you enough? It's a question to answer.
To decide if I'm male or not. Sorry, this is a big joke to me. Sorry. But unfortunately we have to wrap up and get into community data. This is a very interesting conversation. I welcome it going forward. But we have to end this segment and get into community dateline right now.